Well, let's talk again about my first days of university in Naples. I believe that Sabrina, my friend, had accepted to be my guide, essentially because she expected a great help from me in preparing her for the exams and in delivering the notes of each lesson, since she had never shown for perseverance in the study and organizational spirit. In exchange for my explanation and the books lent in each subject, she never failed to keep my place in class and introduce me to students who could offer me some practical elucidation on photocopies to be distributed location of study rooms, exam booking systems. It was a beautiful superficial friendship ours. Sabrina admired my perseverance in following the lesson, even when she didn't want to or couldn't. And I know, and I now consider that human support indispensable in a territory where I couldn't help but feel lost and completely alone. She was also working as an after-school teacher at the same time, and I believe that the very fact that she thus wasted afternoon on study led to her academic failure in the following years. The relationship between us gradually broke off when I was already close to graduation and she had already stopped following the courses to concentrate on the few exams that she still had the goodness to prepare once a year. 10 years after our last meeting, during a depressing crisis in which I railed against the fate that had given me neither grants nor a small consolation in a world of darkness and loneliness, I wrote her a letter of insults because she still kept some of my books of text for alleged exams that she would never have given. She took offense, threatening to report me for verbal abuse. In return, I said I was going to report her for the theft. Eventually, Sabrina delivered the books to my house in person without even asking to see me. My mother tried to console her by talking to her about my social and mental disorders, but this didn't prevent my ex-friend from swearing to my parents that she would never speak to me again, nor say hello in the unlikely event that she met me on the street. Proud of me for having at least recovered my old university books, I would have entrenched myself again in my impassable tower. The picture was now complete. The last period of my life had ended in the same way it had begun. I was completely alone, forgotten by the world, and with no valid prospect of autonomy in the short or long term. Just a month after the start of university courses, in the distant October of 2000, my recovered tranquility as a full-time student was disturbed by the unexpected arrival of a summons at the headquarters of the Southern Operational Forces, a short distance away from the central station of Naples. It was a classic draft visit, abolished for all young Italian only a year after later, and in which I had returned due to carelessness of my father, who had neglected to prepare the deferment documents for study reasons. While my dazed and his goodness mortified parents told me about it, my dazed and mortified parents told me about it, I literally fell from the clouds. What did I have to do with that call to arms, which, as far as I was concerned, could also come from the moon or from the set of a science fiction film? I don't you understand that you have to go, or the boys of your age must spend a 3 days visit for the declaration of eligibility for military service, my father reiterated, with a hint of disappointment at seeing me absent as usual, and not at all terrified by that new disaster. It was the first to manage as a young man. This was the first thing to manage as a young man to avoid the duty of every Italian citizen because well, my father was the first when he was a young man to avoid this duty, which was the duty of every Italian citizen because he emigrated to Germany for work. Only later was I able to understand what the reason for his anxiety, after hearing the stories that have always been told about the humiliations, mistreatments, tortures of military life. As with seminary and university, I prepared myself for the start that new adventure, as if it had been a dream. What did this state want for me after all I had already endured from life? They beat me, they beat me, they spit, they even trample me. I would not have reacted or spoken. Maybe I would have cut my veins there in front of them, just for the sake of seeing them stunned. At least a little, a little. Let's see how it went in the next video. Thank you for your attention.